Hey everybody, it is. I never know what day it is. It's kind of bonkers. It's Thursday. Wow, we made it through the middle of the week. And normally, the middle of the week is when things are quiet, and then towards the end of the week, things kind of ramp up a little bit. But still, there's a lot of stuff that's pretty subdued out there, and we're going to try and break it all down. This is going to look at previous cycles. We're going to look at who is stacking, going to look at some on-chain data. We're going to try and identify how much left is in the cycle and what else is happening in the Bitcoin world, because we have new eras, diminishing returns, and so much more. But is there more upside, or is the bull run done? We have to revisit all those questions again with a whole bunch of fresh data. Thank you, Team TSLA, KA, Sean Donnelly, Max Grease, and everybody else for coming. Let's go. Right before I went live, I took off my shirt without a big zipper on it, hit my eye, so it might be all jacked. But we're going to make it through anyway. Live TV, always so much fun. Let's get into the story. And here we are. I'll make myself a little person on the top left. And disclaimer, this is not financial advice, just a guy on the internet. And shout out to Jane Anderson. It was my fortune to come across her channel recently. Now a proud Patreon member. Woohoo! I used to pay so much money for several subscriptions, both stocks and crypto. None has your type of research. And more importantly, none comes with anywhere close to how much and how frequent you share. Well, it's not just me. It's the team behind that make it all possible. So thank you so much. And yeah, it's a very, very important time. The next couple of years will be critical for all of us. And I am very focused on that. So let's go to the first on-chain chart of the day. This is from Axel. And you can see here over the last 5 months, the supply from major players has declined. The total reduction is about 290,000 Bitcoin. We'll get into some Bitcoin numbers as to where it's going, who's sucking it in. But currently, the average figures have begun to rise, essentially reflecting an accumulation of supply among players with wallets above 1,000 Bitcoin. In simple English, the whales have stopped selling and now they are stacking once again. Very important. And again, these things happen in cycles. We saw some weird stuff. Things happen in fits and starts. Things go down, things go up, things consolidate sideways for a while. And that's just the nature of markets. All markets are the same, by the way. This is not unique to Bitcoin. Dude Travels, I am cold, everybody else. You are all so kind. And Brayman, but we have some fun stuff to look at today. I'm excited to share it too. By the way, if you missed yesterday's video, it's probably one of the most important videos I've ever made. Feedback was ridiculous, but nobody watched it because it's tricky macro stuff. But if you want to prepare for the future, watch yesterday's video. Anyway, we had some crazy news happen overnight. GameStop follows MicroStrategy, and they want to buy billions in Bitcoin. And they're borrowing at 0% to do that. And they have 4.5 billion, I think, on their balance sheet. They're not using to buy Bitcoin, but they should use that too. Get rid of the fiat and borrow as well at 0%. That's the winning strategy. But what is going on just this week alone? This is from Ash Crypto. Beautiful chart, saves me making it. Just this week, in terms of Bitcoin treasuries, MicroStrategy bought, called it 7,000 Bitcoin. Blockchain Group, 580 Bitcoin. MetaPlanet, 150 Bitcoin. Cooler, 56 Bitcoin. And GameStop is going to deploy 1.3 billion to buy Bitcoin. You know, hello, Taipei in Taiwan. One of the weird things about, I remember seeing the anxiousness that Michael Saylor had in the bear. And it was always about, can you get enough money fast enough to buy? Now the world knows GameStop is planning to deploy 1.3 billion to buy Bitcoin. Number one, where are they going to get it? Number two, can the price stay down low before I deploy my 1.3 billion? That's kind of the anxiety that probably the GameStop team have right now. And there's other players too that are thinking about this as well, but we won't talk about them because they're just rumors at this stage. But there's more coming. So this is interesting. Okay, let's see. I think Ash Crypto wrote in his little tweet when he shared this is who else is buying. Let's have a look. First of all, 10 out of the last 11 days, the ETFs have been buying. they are back, and that's not bad. In fact, the 9 days in a row was all positive. And during this time frame, they spent $1 billion and purchased 11,627 Bitcoin. 11,627 Bitcoin in 9 days. Not bad. So yeah, we're not done yet by no stretch. That is a lot. Who else? What else is going on? Now, this is Mrs. 200, a wallet that I look at a lot. They bought 4,100 Bitcoin in 5 days. Who could they be? I don't know. We'll find out soon one day, I hope. Also, and I know people say it's a bit cold wallet, etc. But literally, they've been stacking 100 Bitcoin a day in March, another 3,000. So you have this Mrs. 200 buying 4,100. And then you have Mr. 100 buying 3,000. If it's an exchange or not, it's very unusual exchange behavior. And then the US government just moved, guess what? 100 Bitcoin worth 8.4 million heading to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's probably for them a test. You always test with a small amount. You know, if you're going to send 100 Bitcoin somewhere, I would normally test with 0.001 Bitcoin. Anyhow, they test with 100 Bitcoin. But it's just weird. Again, seeing patterns and numbers. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe it's just normal for Upbit to bring in 100 Bitcoin a day. I don't know. Maybe it's normal for the US government to transfer 100 Bitcoin to test out the new wallet, which we can now track because everything is open and transparent on the Bitcoin exchange. The Bitcoin exchange, the Bitcoin system. It's just a fun time to be alive. But what else is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Saylor on Bitcoin game theory. And he has the ear of the White House, okay? Michael Saylor says, if America buys Bitcoin, its allies and enemies will have to buy it back at 10 million or 20 million or 50 million a coin. This is the modern digital gold rush. This is the game theory that I've personally been waiting for since 2017. We're beginning to see little tiny little signals that it could be happening slowly but surely. But there's more. Guess who just met with Michael Saylor? Senator Lummis. She is the queen of Bitcoin within the government, and she's been pounding the table for years now. And shout out to Cynthia. She's doing a great job. But now it's her time to shine with all the different players. And none of this is a coincidence, by the way. It's all to make plans. Plans that some people believe aren't there. But anyway, Bitcoin Broccoli is even in the house. Thank you, Bitcoin Broccoli. And this guy, Begich, and in full disclosure, I've never heard of him before. I saw his little video. 60 seconds long, out there on the internet. And he is a congressman, and he says the US is gearing up to buy 1 million Bitcoin. This is the biggest crypto move ever. The US government, and he said it point blank, want to buy 1 million Bitcoin. They have 207,000 already. And 1 million is about 5% of supply. But really, it's more like 1/15 of the supply, because people get confused when I say there'll never be more than 15 million Bitcoin. People think I don't understand Bitcoin. They say there's 21 million Bitcoin. No, nearly 5 million have been lost. Trust me, I've tracked them all for years. Anyway, that's why I talk to 15 million Bitcoin. I know there's 21 million, but a lot are lost, and a lot continue to get lost every single day. But this is kind of crazy. I repeat, 1 million Bitcoin. Little Austin Powers finger in the mouth for that one. And it will be done without raising taxes or increasing government debt. And this whole Bitcoin Act will be budget neutral, relying on Federal Reserve remittances, which exceed $76 billion in 2023. Okay. Gold certificate revaluations, additional capital, tariff funds, maybe the gold Visa they're selling for $1 million a pop now. They've raised $1 billion from that. They have so many avenues to pull in money to stack this Bitcoin. And when they start doing that in earnest, then we will see game theory kick off. And just a reminder, the world can now witness the US government wallet movements. Okay. Shout out to Rizzo. This should definitely kick things off. Again, if I was a government, I didn't have any Bitcoin, I kind of be a little bit nervous right now. Anyway, shout out to Congressman. Begich for his beautiful, succinct, "We're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin" statement. Fantastic. Anyway, and so many players from the US government wouldn't get up and say this unless they meant it. I don't think they're playing 4D chess trying to get the rest of the world to buy Bitcoin before they can. That just wouldn't be logical. Anyway, you never know. Always be paranoid. And BlackRock are bringing their version of an ETF to Europe. They want to try take over Europe as well. And I know it's challenging for people in the UK. Shout out to our English, British, Scottish, Welsh friends out there, that it's hard for them to get access to things like IBIT, the BlackRock ETF, but they can buy MicroStrategy all day long, which they do in droves. But this is going to be crazy. They're going to try and launch their first ETP with very low fees. It'll be launched in France and Germany and Amsterdam. So that's coming soon to you all out there, which would be good too. And, oh, by the way, this will be interesting to track not just the US ETFs that just bought 12,000 Bitcoin over the last 9 days, but see how much Europe actually buys. And with the type of crazy stuff going on in Europe right now, I don't know why Europeans aren't stacking Bitcoin like mad these days. I can't figure that out. Anyway, maybe only 4% know how important it is, and they already have it. The other 96% are just blissfully ignorant of what's going on. I don't know. Another piece of on-chain that's very important too, and this goes back to the third part of this story today, is where we are in the cycle. So short-term holders, it's very clear here, and shout out to Axel from CryptoQuant. Since January 1st, 2025, the short-term holders have increased their supply by 201,000 Bitcoin. And this cohort currently holds about 5.75 million Bitcoin. That's good. Now, if we look back to previous cycles at peaks, short-term holders have held between 8.4 million and 7 million Bitcoin. So we have technically somewhere another 1.5 million, 2.5 million Bitcoin to go into the hands of short-term holders. That has not happened yet. And if history repeats, we are nowhere near a top. We do not see any on-chain signals, including those that are holders that are in a rush to sell. We know the big whales have stopped selling. Short-term holders have yet to stack more Bitcoin. So we'll see. Anyway, let's talk about some of the other cool stuff that I really want to dig into. This, shout out to Plan B. And I know people will go, as usual, they'll groan and whatever. But I'm a big believer in stock to flow, have been for 35 years when I used to look at commodities and stuff way back in the day. This is important. What he basically says here, I'll break down. Actually, I'm going to share a different version of this chart because it's kind of easier to understand. So stock to flow is basically the amount of time it takes for supply to be replicated. And this compares Bitcoin's value to assets like gold and real estate, again, focusing on scarcity. So real estate's the red at the top, gold is the yellow thing kind of in the middle, and Bitcoin is on the right-hand side. So basically, the real estate stock to flow is about 90. Bitcoin stock to flow is about 112 or 120, depending on how you measure it. Call it 120. So Bitcoin is the scarcest asset on the planet. Next scarcest asset is real estate. After that, things like gold, etc. Now, what's interesting is, again, Bitcoin stock to flow is 120, meaning it's very scarce, and only a tiny amount is added to its fixed supply every year at halving events, and a huge amount of it's already mined. The gold stock to flow is 60. So it's less scarce than Bitcoin. It's half as scarce as Bitcoin. And therefore, it has a lower stock to flow due to constant new mines. If you want more gold, you just dig a little bit deeper, or you look in a different part of the world and you'll find it. And again, the chart shows that Bitcoin's market cap under 2 trillion right now is far below gold's 20 trillion, which suggests, again, if stock to flow is a real thing, and I believe it is for other commodities and assets, it means Bitcoin should more than 10x from where we are right now. It is scarcer. It is harder. You cannot create more. You cannot dig deeper to get more. Okay. And we're very early Whereas gold has been around for 5,000 years, Bitcoin's been around for 15. That's the big difference here. So when it catches on, expect this chart to kick into high gear. So that was kind of an exciting one for me. And we'll see where it all goes. But either way, Bitcoin is scarce as hell. Now, another chart I want to look at today, because every week I check in on liquidity, global liquidity, and I took the chart. I did a couple of things a little bit different this time. I'm going to blow up my screen so I can see it a little bit better. This is the monthly candles for Bitcoin going back to 2015. And then you have the cycles versus the yellow line, which is liquidity. So we saw liquidity going up from 2015 to about 2018, and so did the Bitcoin price. Then from 2018 to 2020, liquidity was flat. So was the Bitcoin price. Then liquidity shot up in 2020 with C19 in March 2020, and so did Bitcoin, but kind of not as much as the previous cycle. So if you look at the amount of liquidity increase in 2020 compared to 2015 to 2018, nowhere near the spike. Okay, there was a reason for that because of the C19 stuff. Anyway, then we had liquidity tighten because inflation was out of control and Bitcoin price went down. Now we're in a situation where the tightening has stopped. Global liquidity is on the rise, particularly since the beginning of this year. It's hard to see in just that tiny little line. What's interesting, though, as well, as a highlight of the scarcity of Bitcoin, the way I read this, Bitcoin has gone up while liquidity has gone down. Think for yourselves, what will happen when liquidity starts going to the moon again? Okay? It paints a very positive picture. Again, in my small mind. So that's my interpretation of that particular chart. Now, there's more. Let's look at the top and bottom indicator. Everybody's saying, what's going on? So this is the model we built in the last bear market. There's 22 different on-chain indicators that pull in live data that calculate a composite score to tell us if the market's overheated or not, where we are in the actual cycle. And what's interesting about this is a divergence. We see a divergence happening for the first time. The yellow, we've left the kind of orange zone, we've gone into yellow, and it's tanking down. You'll see it there on the right-hand side. But the price has diverged. It's now beginning to go up. We're recovering from the 78,000 level. We're now at 87,200 bucks as I speak live. But let's break this down in another way, because a lot of people would think, okay, price is going up, TABI is going down yellow, which means we are not at all overheated, or it means the bull market's over, but we never got to orange, dark orange, or red. Which means we didn't have a blow off top. We didn't have the euphoria of historical cycles. So what's going on here? Well, let's look at what happened in previous cycles. I pointed at times that during bull runs, there can be retracements where the top and bottom indicator goes from that orange or yellow, dark yellow, all the way down to lime green even. That happened in 2015. Also, it happened in 2021. We actually went to red, tanked all the way down to lime green, and went back to dark orange. So these retracements can happen. And in fact, we had this as well happen in mid-2024 during the July chop solidation period where the ETF started selling a bit, the carry trade was unwound, and we went from yellow down to lime green again. Now we've gone from kind of orangey, light orange, down to yellow. The question is, what's going to happen next? I think we're going to go back up over the coming weeks as it'll follow the actual price action as well. So that is kind of interesting. And another thing that's kind of interesting too, which is sad news for many, but this is a 4-year compound annual growth rate for Bitcoin. As you know, we love CAGRs here on the channel. And if you measure the time from top to bottom of where we are right now, this is from Pierre Richard as well on Twitter, Bitcoin's 4-year CAGR compound annual growth rate is at historic lows. Okay. So yes, as we've spoken about for a long time, there will be diminishing returns for Bitcoin. And now the CAGR is only circa 13-14%. So that shows you as well, we are towards the later stage of the bull run, but we have not had the CAGRs that we historically had. It's at an all-time low. That tells us diminishing returns are in play. But before I get to the next sequence of charts, which are super exciting, enjoyed working on them this morning, is this one. And shout out to Checkmate as well, inspiration came from him for this, is the 3 Bitcoin eras he referred to. And I tweaked his language a little bit as well. But pre-2017, grassroots instinctive, emotional buying, maybe some manipulation, craziness happening. And it started at a very low base, like $1, $10, went crazy. So that's that. You can kind of parcel that away. Then we had 2018 to 2022, high amplitude, high leverage, boom bust area, very manipulated, lots of terrible things happen in the market. So yeah, it was volatile like heck. Post 2023, now Bitcoin's a bona fide asset. There are ETFs. There are nation states stacking Bitcoin. It's mature. We saw the diminishing returns. And we have professional participation and far less volatility than any previous cycle. So this kind of frames up where we are right now. But I'm going to try to take this and apply it to charts so we can understand how historic bull runs happen, analyzed with the optimized trend. So the optimized trend here is in the blue, and that is again on the monthly with candles going up for certain periods of time. So I asked myself, how long are the duration of these up periods in the optimized trend? I calculated that. We had 1, 2, and we're in the middle of 3 of them right now. When we look at the actual data for each one of these, you can see the first cycle, that was kind of the 2016 to 2018 cycle. Bitcoin went up 3,350%. And the cycle from blue, from the trend going up, the trend turning orange, exactly 973 days. What's very bizarre is the next cycle. We didn't get 3,350%. We got 884%. Call that a 9x, 10x. But the duration is what fascinates me. 975 days. Now we are in the middle of this third big cycle. We are so far up 275.94%, and the duration so far is 759 days. Okay, so call it 220 days, 210 days shy of historic norms. But the real question is, are traditional cycles over? This is what we cannot answer just yet. Will things continue? I'm not sure, but either way, we've gone from 3,500% to 900% to 275%. I still think we have a little bit more upside, maybe 300, 350%, 400%. Maybe because there's less manipulation, it'll be different. Maybe game theory will kick in and big nation states will start stacking, and we could get big price action from the new demand that's coming in. I'm not sure. Either way, we'll see if we get another 200 days. If history repeats, we will. I'm 90% sure the bull market is still on. But anyway, we have to see what's going on. And meme du jour, finishing on a positive note. Will the fiat in your bank account ever gain purchasing power? The answer is no. Decision tree, buy Bitcoin. Will the fiat in your bank account ever gain purchasing power? Yes. No, it won't. You're an idiot. Buy Bitcoin. So I thought that was very funny and worth sharing, everybody. Hope you like the show. Thank you all for coming. We will track the top and bottom indicator. We will track the cycles. We will track all the money flow so we get a good handle on where we are. But I'm very impressed with the last 9 to 10 days of money coming back to Bitcoin. And historically, April coming soon, second best month of the year for Bitcoin. Also, that's when the S&P 500 kicks off in terms of seasonality. So we'll see. If we're correlated with risk assets, we'll be in good shape. If history repeats, we'll be in good shape. If the demand continues, we'll be in very good shape. All the signs look very positive from where I'm standing right now. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you all for coming. Cat with a K, T&D, Jerry, Metagirl. Good to see ladies here in the audience too. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday Fire as well. That's one of my favorite sessions where we get to share all the spiciness from the week. Browan as well. Thank you so much from people all over the world. UK, Australia, Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, Mexico, US, and Canada. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.